Hello and welcome to another new episode of Emotional Eating Unwrapped. I'm your host, Alana Kessler, and let's be honest. I love being honest. I think honesty is really the most underrated key to healing, to transformation. But let's be honest about why most people are taking GLP-1s, okay? And it's not because they want to manage their blood sugar. It's because they want to be thin. And that is not something to be ashamed of. If you've been listening to my podcast, if you've been listening to anything I've been saying on social media, I do not think wanting to be thin, wanting to feel light in your body, wanting to feel good in clothes, comfortable in your own skin, and taking actions, intentional actions where you actually express that desire, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think that is human. That is human, and we are humans. So, go full send on that. I'm all for that. And that is really what I help women do, right? I help women own that desire and do it in a way that's healthy. And so, why I'm talking about this is because what I'm seeing with the GLP-1s that are being used for this purpose. Now, let me just preface by saying that GLP-1s that are used for diabetes, obesity, PCOS, totally medically sound. Okay. I'm not knocking this at all, but what I'm seeing more and more is this quiet side effect, this underbelly side effect that a lot of people are not talking about, which is yes, you lose weight. Yes, you get the body you wanted, but there's also costs. You lose something else in the process. Okay, I've had women tell me, I don't think about food anymore, right? I've had women talk to me on GLP-1s. I work with women who are on GLP-1s. This isn't like a either or situation with me and the women I work with, or, even the men, the people I work with. It's not an either or thing, but I have them say to me, I don't think about food anymore. The weight's coming off, right? I'm wearing these ties that I never thought I'd wear before. But if I'm being really honest, I also don't feel much of anything. Right? Not excitement, not pleasure, just kind of like apathy, right? And at first, maybe it was calm, right? Like first they felt calm, and that calm was good, right? That calm was good because it was quiet, quieter. Okay. But the calm is nice until you realize that it's actually not peace, it's numbness. Okay. It's not peace, it's numbness. It's the kind of numbness that over time has the potential to make life feel really flat, kind of dull, even when your body is smaller too. Like a really kind of disappointing feeling that arises that I think for some people is really even hard to acknowledge and accept, right? Because we project all of these emotional ideologies onto what our lives would be when we lose weight. And in some areas, weight loss does unlock certain confidence milestones and certain things about your personality that maybe you weren't as confident with before. And that's great. But oftentimes more emotional, deeper kind of feeling things that we expect weight loss is going to give us, it doesn't do that unless there's some deeper work that's been done as well. Okay. So let's talk about this new kind of quiet a little bit more, because when you've lived most of your life in chaos, with food, with dieting, with eating, constantly overthinking, right? Micromanaging, overcorrecting, calculating, overeating per se, the silence feels like a dream for real. Like I totally see the appeal. So when GLP-1s finally turn the noise off, it completely feels like freedom, right? There's no cravings, no constant battle in your head. You don't feel like you're being pulled by some invisible force into a jar of cookies or a pint of ice cream at night, right? Like there's none of that. But over time, that quiet can start to feel sterile, right? You're not having that hunger and that compulsion anymore, but you're also not having that aliveness. You eat because you have to, which on some levels, like what we talk about a lot as food as function and all these different things, but it's not that black and white, right? Like part of learning how to eat for weight loss is, yes, eating when you have to and reducing the amount of time that you mindlessly eat or compulsively eat. But you're not supposed to never eat when you want to. It doesn't have to be like, I only can eat when I have to or when it's time. I can't ever eat when I just feel like it or I want to or I have a desire to. That's not the reality of a healthy relationship with eating or in even like an eating style or even how normal people eat, right? Like there's this whole thing now, eat like a normal person. Normal people eat when they have to, but they also eat when they want to, right? They just understand how not to let that when you want to part become a binge, become a spiral. That's the skill. That's a skill that I teach people in my programs. Because the thing is, when you turn the volume down on the food noise, on the anxiety, you also turn the volume down on excitement, right? Anxiety and excitement are actually two sides of the same coin. And when you turn the lights out or the volume down on that, you also turn the volume down on pleasure, on emotion, on excitement, which is part of living, right? Having that adrenaline, that feeling. And if you notice, it's a really similar feeling that you might have when you're getting that kind of aura that comes before a binge, right? Which is like a adrenaline filled feeling. It's a similar thing. So that's why it's not about turning that off altogether. It's about learning how to channel that energy. And the thing is what you want to think about is like your appetite. It's not just about food. It's about life. It's directly tied to your life force. So the same hormones that regulate hunger, they also regulate dopamine, right? Which is the part of your brain that controls your motivation, your joy, your drive. So when you suppress your appetite, which we think is really just about food, you don't just silence hunger, food hunger, you mute desire. And I think a lot of this has to do with our fear of feeling. I remember when I started doing this work back in, I don't know. Well, I started on my own journey doing this work for my own healing journey in the late 90s. But when I started, when I opened my yoga studio in 2008. So for those of you who don't know or just started listening to me, I have been on this type of journey, this kind of, personal growth, healing, emotional honesty journey as a portal to healing for 25 years. And so when I started, integrating this type of stuff into my professional life, which probably was around the time that I opened my yoga studio back in 2008. I owned a yoga studio for 9 years, and everything was about more feelings and integrating emotions and people being willing to feel emotions. And I just think it's so ironic that we've come to this place now where we're so much more able to talk about feelings, yet I still think that we are a culture that's afraid to feel feelings. A lot of the women and not even just women, but men that I speak to that are on GLP-1s say the same thing. And I get it, right? Like they say it feels so nice not to think about food all the time. I totally get that because for years, food probably felt like the thing that you could control or you couldn't control. It was just something that just felt so big in your life. At first, when you don't have that anymore, when you don't have to manage that kind of extra person in the relationship of your life, it can feel empowering, right? You can finally feel like your brain is clear. You can prioritize the things you want to prioritize. But underneath, what's really happening is you're still running the same program, the same operating system that you did when you were thinking about food 24/7, engaging in binging, engaging in the dieting cycle, right? What's happening is you're hyper-focusing, there you were maybe controlling it a little bit more and it was on your brain. Now it's not on your brain, but underneath the same messaging is it's not safe to feel. So now instead of eating to shut feelings down or hyper focusing on macros and math and calories and your steps for exercise or whatever and doing all these calculations all the time. Instead of that, you're not eating. You're taking this medication. You're just kind of muting the hormones that were responsible for that, the hormones and the hormones that were activated by emotions and, maybe triggers or something that are happening, but now you're not recognizing them because they're muted, right? So now you're keeping them quiet. And the problem, like I said before, what happens is you become very apathetic, right? So yes, you're calm, but even though you're not feeling anxious, you're also not feeling joy. And I know this to be true. You're not feeling the anxiety, but you're also not feeling the joy. Also, I know this too. You're very tired, right? Like the people that are on GLP-1s, unless they're taking other things, a lot of them have been expressing to me that they get tired at like 8 p.m., right? Like they stand up and they get really dizzy. They don't really have energy or enthusiasm for stuff. And they're just less lit up by life, right? Like after the initial surge of energy, I think that comes with the weight loss. It's like we get that kind of feedback loop that something good is happening, that there's finally movement in a direction that maybe feels like it was stalled for so long. That can give you energy. But once that starts to fade, just like everything, there's just less enthusiasm for things. And it becomes really challenging. Here's what I want you to hear. You can be thin and you can still have aliveness in your life. You still can feel enthusiastic. You still can feel desire. You can feel the lightness in your body that you want to feel without suppressing your energy, without, chemically manipulating your hormones to feel that way. Especially, and again, I'm not talking about people with medical diagnoses. This is a different conversation. But to do that, you have to stop treating appetite, right? If when you think about the word appetite, there's an undercurrent of desire underneath that, you have to stop treating appetite like the enemy. And if we think about what I talk about a lot with feminine energy and masculine energy, appetite is very feminine. It's a movement charged energy. It's emotion, right? It's creativity, it's pleasure, it's desire, it's expression. It's that spark, right? That makes you like indulge in something, right? Reach for something new, have like that, that joie de vivre, right? And when you suppress it chemically, emotionally, or even through the diet culture, the control, you lose that spark. And I'm sure if whether you're on GLP-1s or not, or you're in a diet cycle, you know that it just gets tiring, right? You lose that spark. I remember, recently a client has told me that, she loves that she could fit into anything now. She loves it, right? She loves being able to go online and order, the things that she always looked at and wasn't sure if it would fit her, and she's wearing it in the size that she wants to wear. But this is what she tells me, is that she has these clothes, she gets them in the box, she tries them on, loves how she looks in the mirror, but she's too tired to go out. She doesn't have the motivation to go out and wear them. And it's not because she doesn't think she looks good in them, because that's obviously not true. The clothes fit her. She has that positive feedback from the clothes fitting her. But what I was saying earlier on, that is not giving her enough motivation to go out, because something else is blocking that. She doesn't want to go out. She doesn't look forward to dinner. She said, I thought that having this body would give me the impetus to have more enthusiasm, but now I just feel kind of blank. Now I just feel kind of like apathetic. I don't know if she used that word, but that's the word that I, think it describes it really well. And this is the trade-off. Okay, this is the trade-off that I see over and over again. Okay, you get the smaller body, but the life is smaller because the capacity to live it is smaller. That's what you're doing with this chemical when it's not really indicated for anything other than weight loss. You've built a good life. From the outside, it looks like you have it all together. You eat clean, you work hard, you take care of everyone. But there's this one area that still feels impossible to master, and that is food. You can eat perfectly all day and still end up in the kitchen at night wondering why you keep doing this. You promise yourself you'll start fresh tomorrow, and I know you mean it every single time. But the cycle, it always finds its way back, especially when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, or when you're just tired of being the one that's holding it all together. And I get it because I lived that way for years. And what I learned is this: the problem, it was never about food. It was the pressure underneath it, the perfectionism, the self-doubt, the part of me that never felt safe and secure to just be me. And that's why I created the sober eating sequence. It's a proven 3-phase method that rewires the emotional patterns and the belief systems driving overeating so you can relax, trust yourself around food, and release weight completely naturally, without force and without obsession. Because when your body feels secure, it lets go. The cravings quiet, the self-punishment, it softens, and food, it stops being the thing that you have to fix. This is not another plan. This isn't another rule book. It's a revolutionary transformation for your nervous system, for your body, and for your identity. So join the sober eating movement today. Right? But it really doesn't have to be that way. You can be thin and live an enthusiastic and exciting and lit up life. And so if you're listening to this and you're on a GLP-1 or you're considering it, this is not about guilt. Okay. This is not about guilt. Like I said, I work with women, usually more women. I'm not really working with any men. So I'm going to be completely honest, like on GLP-1s right now. So women on GLP-1s, if you're listening to this and you're on that, this is not about guilt. Again, that's not my thing. This is about remembering that your body is meant to feel. Okay. Your body is meant to feel. Your humanness is meant to feel. And you can have your results, your weight loss results, your body results, while also having feelings, negative feelings, great feelings, right? There's no need to be afraid of having impulses, compulsions, desires. No need to be afraid of that, right? Because those things, though you might see them as negatives towards food right now, are also the same things that give you so much joy in life in other areas. Okay, so let me give you a couple of recommendations for how you can, lose weight, stay thin, and also bring feelings back into your life. So the first thing I want to share is you want to reconnect with sensation. Okay, you want to reconnect with sensation. So when you eat, actually taste the food, notice the textures, right? Be willing to, slow down, right? Be willing to remind your body that food is meant to be enjoyed, right? Practice enjoying the sensation and the sensuality of eating. Okay, you want to reintroduce hunger as information, not danger, right? So if you feel hungry again, it's a good thing. It means your body is waking up. So you don't have to panic, right? You don't have to panic. You just want to start a conversation with your body and find out what you need. And then this one is really important, especially for women who feel like they're in their masculine energy a lot, constantly in your head. I want you to let pleasure count as progress. I want you to let pleasure count as progress. So don't just focus on numbers, goals, results, outcomes. I want you to track your energy, your mood, your desire, your connection. And when you find yourself like willing to engage in the world, right? Like see connecting with somebody as a win. See honoring your mood as a win. See letting yourself indulge in a desire as a win. There's no punishment for, you didn't do it wrong by letting yourself indulge in a desire. I think that's really important to to learn how to hold that. Like how, that's a big skill that I teach people, right? Like how to allow yourself to receive desire without feeling like you've messed up. Okay. Because the truth is, both things can be true. You can be thinner if you want. You don't need to lose the vitality of life, but only if you let your nervous system learn that both things can be true. Like I said, hunger, desire, appetite, and being safe and stable and steady and in control, not controlling yourself, but in feeling in control can exist in the same body. Okay, because freedom, peace, ease, whatever in your mind is your ultimate feeling that you want to get when you're like, this is how I want to feel when I'm better or when I'm healed. If you're listening to this right now and I have a good relationship with food, this is what it means to me, right? I'm going to feel free. I'm going to feel peaceful. I'm going to feel ease. It's important to know that peace, freedom, ease isn't about being untouched by hunger or desire. It's about being able to feel it like you're the master of it. Like you are the one in the driver's seat of that. You have mastery over that and you still feel safe. Like bring it on. All the feelings, bring it on. That's where real ease, peace, freedom lives. It's in the middle. It's in that. Right? It's not in the chaos of binging and it's not in the freeze of suppression, right? It's not in the freeze of, medicating it away. Because when you learn how to hold your desires with like a friendliness, a curiosity even, right? Instead of fear or avoidance, your body stops needing extremes, right? You stop swinging between, oh my God, I overdid it. And oh my God, I feel like I can't stand up and I'm super dizzy and I didn't eat enough. And that's when everything stabilizes, when you can be in this middle area, right? Your appetite stabilizes. You find that you might not need to eat as much one day, but maybe you want to eat more another day. Your emotions stabilize. Your ability to connect is more available, right? And your weight. I know that is a valid and really important goal for a lot of people. And I want to honor that because for myself, feeling like my body is where I want it to be at the weight it is or at the size it is, that's really important for my confidence. And so I honor women and men and I want to empower you to really own that and take the steps to get there. I just think it's important that you realize that there is a cost to this way of getting there. I wanted to lay those out today. Okay, so the takeaway. Right? This isn't a knocking on GLPs, right? Totally get it. But I just really want you to remember that real freedom isn't about suppression. It's not about trying to control the controlling. It's not about controlling. It's about trusting. Real peace, real ease isn't about the absence of craving. It's feeling safe enough to let it in. It's feeling safe enough to let it in, to embrace that huge wave of wanting and feel comfortable and not feel like it's going to wash you out. You're going to have a huge wipeout. Right? You have to learn to surf that. You have to learn to surf that wave of craving and wanting. And that's the integration. That's the evolution. That's the healing. Thank you so much. That is all I have for you today. If you are listening to me today on YouTube, please like and subscribe, share with a friend if you think that they might benefit from this episode. If you're listening on Spotify and or Apple, please leave us a review there. And if you would like a free one-on-one session with me, private one-on-one coaching session with me, you can leave us a review on Apple, take a screenshot. You could send it to me on Instagram at bewellbyak, or you can email us at podcast@bewellbyak.com. And until next time, I'm Alana, and thank you for listening to Emotional Eating Unwrapped.